Hello everyone, back to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, day 10 is Christmas Day. So this video will take us to Christmas Day with the GFS, the GM and the ECMWF. Actually, we'll be able to extend out a little bit beyond Christmas with the extended GFS because that runs to over 2 weeks. So I'll bring you up to date first of all with what's happening in the stratosphere in terms of the latest forecasts with the stratospheric warming that we've been talking about over the past week or two. And then we'll get on and have a look at what's going to happen in the next week to 10 days. We have just released a weekend forecast. So starting off very interesting with weather today, of course, we've got Storm Deirdre bearing down on us right now. It's bringing heavy rain, heavy snow, freezing rain, gale force winds, you name it, it's happening out there this afternoon. And it's all covered in weekend forecast, so have a look at that and see what's going on. I'm not going to detail that in this video, but I would have liked to, but I've got a rotten cold and I've got a nasty cough, so I want to get through this as quickly as I can. So I'm not going to show you the weather warnings and all of that sort of thing about Storm Deirdre, but we do talk about it in the weekend forecast, of course. So I'll get on with the video for you right now. We're going to start off looking at what's happening in the stratosphere. So these are our latest temperatures at 30 HPA over the North Pole. This grey line here is the trend for this time of year in terms of the stratospheric temperatures at 30 HPA, which is one of the top levels of the atmosphere over North Pole. The black line, that's how temperatures have performed this season at 30 HPA. And you'll see we are very close at the moment to the grey line, so we're around average really with the temperature at 30 HPA. It is very cold because it is a cooling time of the year and you're expected to be pretty cold, but we're about average, we're about at the grey line. There we go, higher up to 10 HPA. You'll see that when it clicks over, there we go, we're actually a little bit warmer than average at 10 HPA. So again, the grey line is the trend line, and the black line shows how those temperatures have been performing at 10 HPA over the North Pole. And you'll see where we are right now is a little bit above, excuse me, a little bit above that grey line. So we are above average, just slightly, at 10 HPA. Now, when we get this southern stratospheric warming, if it gets into the North Pole, what we'll see is this black line lifting up, either going to around this sort of level. If we get a southern stratospheric warming, it will go to that sort of level. They look very dramatic, and we will be keeping a very close eye on these charts when we get to around the Christmas period. Something else that tells us if we're having a southern stratospheric warming that is impacting the North Pole is if we get a reversal of the zonal winds. So you know all about this chart. It's from weatheriscool.com. We featured this in the winter updates. I've carried on showing you it through the regular week to 10 day video updates as well through this season because it's a very useful chart. The main thing, I won't go over all the coloured lines, but have a look at weekend forecasts if you want a detailed breakdown of what each coloured line shows. The main line is this black line here. That's the trend line for the time of the year. The green lines are from the GFS ensembles. So where we are right now is around here, not too far from that black line, but you'll see that the green lines, which are each individual member of the GFS ensembles, are forecasting a collapse in the zonal winds. That's 0 just there. So there's within those green lines, there's like a thicker green line, which is the ensemble mean. You see the ensemble mean is going beneath 0. So this is telling us that the GFS ensembles are now forecasting a reversal in the zonal winds over the North Pole before the end of December. This is kind of like New Year's Eve, just here from December through to January. So by New Year's Eve, the GFS ensembles are forecasting a reversal of the zonal winds. Some ensemble members go down to that very low level. That is kind of collapse of the zonal winds that you get when you have a southern stratospheric warming. The ensemble mean doesn't go that low, but it does go down to that kind of level. So we are talking about a really dramatic sort of reduction in the strength of the zonal winds before the end of December being forecast by the GFS ensembles. And that will happen through a rapid warming of the stratosphere, of the temperature at 10 HPA. So this is what the GFS is currently forecasting. The current position is looking like this. We've got these blue and purple colours, but they're the cold temperatures in the stratosphere over North Pole. Greens and yellows around the edges. Watch what happens as we run through the days. This is from meteosil.fr, of course, as we run through into the 20th, through to the 21st, to 22nd. This has been modelled so well. There's been very little deviation with this, right from 384 hours away. It has always been around the 22nd or 23rd of December that we've had these red colours appearing over Siberia. Still there, so still this southern stratospheric warming taking place over Siberia just before Christmas on the operational run of the GFS. In the more extended range, this is how things are looking right now. So that dramatic warming continues over Siberia in terms of the upper of the stratospheric temperature up to Christmas Eve. Then we go to Christmas Day and we start to infiltrate that into the North Pole at a lessening extent, so we don't keep those red colours infiltrated into the North Pole, and we displace the polar vortex, which is kind of like a displacement of the cold stratospheric temperatures, pushing down into Northeast America, also pushing down into Northern Europe as well. Really, really stretching that polar vortex by the time we get through to New Year's Eve, as far as we can go. Really stretching that. If we have one more warming of the stratosphere, I think we will pretty much kill off, at least for a while, we will kill off that polar vortex. We will see a split taking place. That's actually what the parallel run of the GFS is showing at the moment. Again, this is 6 o'clock run for the parallel run. So this will become the operational next year. At the moment, they're just running it in parallel with the main operational GFS. While they iron out any problems or issues with the new version of the model. But next year this will be the upgraded operational run. So again, we run through and we go for the next few days. Pretty cold temperatures in the stratosphere over North Pole. Then we get that warming over Siberia. The red colours appear around the 22nd, 23rd, starting to infiltrate their way into the North Pole. And as we go up to Christmas, this takes us to Christmas Day. That warming continues over Siberia, beginning to move into the North Pole as well. Notice those blue colours, very much under stress, very much being stretched. And what the parallel run is seeing is another warming beginning to appear over the Atlantic. So you see, we really are pulling apart those blue colours. This is implying that there is likely to be a split within the polar vortex at its roots at 10 HPA. We're likely to see a split sometime around the new year. You would expect this warming that's appearing here around the Atlantic, just in the last couple of slides in the North Atlantic, you'd expect that to intensify and meet up with this warming that's left over from the Siberian warming. So on this side of the North Pole, and you would split these two blue areas apart and replace them with greens and yellows. That's the idea. That's the thing that we are looking for. Not just a displacement of the cold temperatures in the stratosphere of the polar vortex, but actually a split at 10 HPA. And the parallel run is very, very close to doing that there on New Year's Eve. So this is the ECMWF. This is from the University of Berlin. You can see that, again, we have got these, this is for, what time range is this? This is a week ahead. This is 168 hours, which is the 21st of December. You'll see that we have got these red colours appearing over Siberia. That's a sudden stratospheric warming. We have got the North Pole marked out here with this black cross just there. So still pretty cold on the 21st of December over North Pole itself, but warming is getting going over Siberia, and that intensifies through to the 22nd, and then intensifies further by the 23rd. Really intense warming taking place over Siberia, beginning to move in towards the North Pole as well. That is Christmas Eve, with a very intense southern stratospheric warming going on over Siberia and moving into the Arctic as well. The actual North Pole is beginning to turn warmer. It's still pretty cold at 10 HPA up to Christmas Eve, but you see over time these red colours starting in Siberia are clearly moving further and further into the North Pole. Signs of this beginning to impact lower down as well. This is at 30 HPA at day 10, Christmas Eve. And we see, yes, we are beginning to get some red colours starting to appear over Siberia. Lower down, closer towards the troposphere, the southern stratospheric warming is beginning to move down towards the troposphere. So everything seems to be on course with this southern stratospheric warming. It's still starting just before Christmas over Siberia, moving in towards the North Pole as we get towards Christmas, and then starting, by the time you get to Christmas, starting to affect the lower levels of the stratosphere from 10 HPA down to 30 HPA. So everything is on course, and we've got the parallel GFS even implying that we'll get a split in the polar vortex by the new year, which could be very impactful indeed a couple of weeks later on into January. Right, so let's have a look at weather next week to 10 days. Excuse me, we've got the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts with the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 10,000 feet is an area in the absolute high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. But let's extrapolate to low pressure, yellow, red, and orange to high pressure. ECM has a trough of below average heights in the 7 to 10 day time frame, which does get us to Christmas Day now. 10 days from today is Christmas Day. So we've got an area below average heights, low pressure over top of the UK. It is picking up on a blocking signal up to the northeast as well, and to some degree getting towards Iceland, but relatively weak with above average heights down to our south into the Mediterranean and southeastern Europe. Also this ridge in the middle of the Atlantic, and that leaves us doing something like that with the flow and with the jet stream. So it looks unsettled, and we're just about on the cold side of the jet. And if this blocking signal to the north was to strengthen any more, then we would probably start to pull down some quite cold air into that trough of low pressure. This is the GFS. It looks even more blocked, actually. We've got above average heights towards Greenland and going up towards the Arctic as well. The below average height centred over Scotland, but we've also got this large ridge just to our south down here, and so it's a really messy picture. But what this is going to do, it will push up relatively mild air for Christmas from the southwest. So if you saw last night's Christmas update, you'll know that the GFS was indicating the chance of a cold Christmas. It's backed away from that this morning due to this ridge building over Spain, Portugal and France. But it does still have quite a strong blocking signal to the north. It does still have quite a lot of high pressure to the north. So I'm not sure Christmas is sorted out just yet, to be honest. And we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen there. It's a very complicated pattern. As I say, at the moment, the GFS has backed away from that cold signal that it had in last night's Christmas update. But with so much red and orange to our north, I think we need to wait and see a couple more days, really. GFS ensembles, next couple of weeks looking like this. So looking at Belfast in Northern Ireland today, the red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Belfast. A little bit up and down with temperatures in the next week, indicating a bit of a zonal sine wave with warmer and cooler sectors alternating. That gets us towards Christmas, this period through here, through to the end of the month. And we can see that around that period, we lose that zonal sine wave and we just hover very close to average. As far as precipitation is concerned, there are lots of precipitation spikes coming up. So we've got rain and snow today from Storm Deirdre, more wet and windy weather on Tuesday. They just really unsettled running up to and even beyond Christmas. At the moment, GFS ensembles, although they are going for this reversal of the zonal winds by New Year, as we saw with the chart from weatheriscool.com, at the moment the GFS ensembles are not indicating a slowing down of the Atlantic. It just looks like the Atlantic's going to keep churning away up to Christmas and possibly even beyond, actually, with so much rain coming in from off the Atlantic affecting Northern Ireland. We'll know when the GFS ensembles are starting to stiff out a change towards blocked conditions, because you'll see these rainfall spikes disappearing and it will start to turn drier, but at the same time it will start to trend colder as well, because cold air holds less moisture than warm or mild air. Temperature anomalies are a little bit above average in the weekend, even with the cold start that we've got today. Bitterly cold start we've got today. Temperature anomalies actually from the 15th through 23rd of December are coming out a little bit above average. And also very unsettled precipitation anomalies, average to wetter than average in most parts of the UK. So certainly in the week ahead, it looks like it's going to be pretty mild, but also pretty wet. That's how the GFS 6 o'clock run is looking for Tuesday. Wet and windy. This is all covered by the weekend forecast. Of course, we get through to the end of the week, still looking very unsettled indeed. Going through to next weekend, low pressure sticks close to the country, but it does start to dig southwards a little bit. We've got a dip in the jet stream beginning to appear, so we tried to pull down some cold air from the north there on Christmas Eve, but it has reduced the blocking quite a bit, so there's no real blocking to push that cold air out of the north. And so actually by the time we get through to Christmas Day, we just roll the next low pressure in from off the Atlantic, so that's a milder, wetter solution for Christmas Day. That's Boxing Day, bringing up a southwesterly wind and looking very mild actually for Boxing Day. And then after Christmas, running up towards New Year, just keeping the Atlantic onslaught going. So that's how we finish up by the New Year's Eve, Monday the 31st of December, still looking wet and windy. Notice to the very far north, we appear to have some sort of high pressure beginning to start nosing out of the Arctic and in towards the very, very far northern part of this chart. That might be the first signs of the GFS by the very end of the run, beginning to pick up some impacts in the troposphere from that sun stratospheric warming. But I think it'll be a little bit early for that, actually. I would expect it to be around a week after that, sometime around 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th of January, that you will probably start to get impacts in the troposphere from that sudden stratospheric warming. But anyway, up to New Year's Eve, this latest run of the GFS operational run keeps us pretty mild and unsettled. The GFS parallel run looks like that, wet and windy for Tuesday, and then the second half next week will remain unsettled with showers or longer spells of rain as well. That takes us up to next weekend. Low pressure is sticking around the country. That's Christmas Eve. Again, the low pressure moves away to the east. We're trying to pull down some colder air from the north. But again, there's no real defined blocking signal up to the north. And so, although we are trying to pull down cold air from the north, there's nothing actually to force that southwards via a block of high pressure. Nevertheless, this is a pretty chilly Christmas Day from the parallel run, so we've got this ridge in across the country. It won't be much snow, but it will feel seasonable. I would suspect under that ridge you would expect night frost, so probably white on the grass and on the ground from frost, but no real true Arctic air being brought in with that. Boxing Day still has us under high pressure, so still pretty dry, but quite cold under that ridge of high pressure. And then as we as we run up towards New Year, it's looking still for the south quite dry and chilly, I would have thought. Some rain up in the north. GM looks like this, wet and windy in middle of next week, showers and longer spells of rain next weekend. Now this is seeing a little bit more in way of high pressure to the north. This is kind of like similar to what the GFS was showing with last night's Christmas update. So I've stopped it at the 23rd of December. You'll notice above average pressure to the north, high pressure sitting around Iceland, low pressure to the south. That's a little bit closer to pulling some cold air in for Christmas, and that's how we finish up with the GM on Christmas Day. Quite an interesting chart because there's high pressure around Greenland and Iceland and trying to bring cold air down from the north. There's low pressure to our south, trying to bring these mild winds up from the southwest. So it's a little bit poised there, but I suspect most places will probably be fairly mild and wet from a weather front that will be across the country. But on the northern side of that front, the air across Scotland anyway could be quite cold. That's the GM. And then we've got the ECMWF, wet and windy in the middle of the coming week. Showers, longer spells of rain up to next weekend. And we get to day 10. That's how we're looking on Christmas Day. Very unsettled indeed. It does have a gut pulling down some colder air on the eastern side, or the west side I should say, of this low pressure, but got this deep area of low pressure around Greenland, Iceland, that's going to have a go at pushing those westerlies back in. So the ECM is fairly mild but unsettled up to Christmas Day. Finally, these are the ECM postage stamps from the ECM ensembles for Christmas Day. These are the three options that are on the table for Christmas Day in terms of the ECM ensembles. So you've got 26 ensemble members, which is half of them, 51%. Very unsettled, with below average height centred over the top of the country. They're just really unsettled for Christmas Day. And not particularly cold. Then we've got 17 ensemble members, including the operational run, the run we're just looking at, and the control run that takes low pressure away to our west. But it's not a particularly cold scenario with these 17 because we've got above average heights in the Atlantic. And so we're bringing the Atlantic winds in like that. And then we've got, finally, we've got 8, which is 15.7. So a minority option that has high pressure out to the northwest of the country and also to our east. Very messy, these ones. Low pressure down there. So we're trying to bring up mild southerly winds, but this high pressure around south of Greenland is trying to bring down cold winds, and so they're a little bit of a battle. There'd be some sort of front in that kind of position, kind of similar to what the GM is showing, I suppose, at day 10 on Christmas Day, with mild winds trying to push up from the south, but cold winds also trying to move down from the north. The very end of the ECM ensembles, which takes us to the 30th of December, the options are 21 ensemble members with below average heights over and to the east of the country. This is from the Icelandic Met Office, by the way. Jet stream is down here, so they're relatively cool. They're bringing cool air down from the north. Then we've got another 16 that have below average low pressure in the northwest of the country. High pressure to the south and southeast. They're mild as we head up towards New Year. They're bringing up southwesterly winds. And then 14 with high pressure out to our west. They're quite cold. They'll be bringing the air in from a north or northeasterly direction towards New Year's Eve. No sign up to the 30th of December within the ECM ensembles yet that the stratospheric warming is bringing about northern blocking on our side of the pole. But again, that's probably too early to be expecting a tropospheric response from what's happening in the stratosphere. You'll probably expect it to be around another week after that, really, when you start seeing signs of northern blocking, or you start looking for signs of northern blocking. So that's how things are looking. Unsettled up to Christmas, probably unsettled after Christmas. The GFS have backed away from that cold Christmas, but it was showing in last night's Christmas update. But GM is very close to it, and there's a minority option within the ECM ensembles that is also close to bringing about some colder weather for Christmas. But I think we probably overnight moved towards a milder and more unsettled Christmas. The stratospheric warming, though, is still on course, and I think impacts from that most likely to be felt in January, and they could be very interesting impacts in January as well. Say no more for now. Right, that's it for today's videos. So thanks for watching. Come back tomorrow. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.